Hello everyone. I'd like to start this video off with one question. Why do we love roller coasters? We're intelligent creatures. We create societies for the express purpose of avoiding risk and fear. Yet, for some reason, we strap ourselves to towering steel contraptions and fling ourselves upside down and around corners at high speeds. We purposely trigger a primal fear of death that, in day-to-day life, we do our best to bury. And we love it. Perhaps it's because roller coasters have a mythical quality. They're the closest thing we have to man-made dinosaurs, towering above us in the landscapes they rest on. Their clacks and clangs and whooshes are the equivalent of roars, their hills sharp spines and sweeping masses of shiny scales. When we ride them, for a moment, we touch myth. For a moment, monsters are real. And when the restraints lift and we step off of their backs, we are monster slayers. We conquered the beast. Naturally, building one of these giants is not easy. It takes a lot of money, you're constrained by the laws of physics and multiple governments. Also, humans are fragile and can't physically withstand your suicide ride. Myths always suffer under the lens of the real world. Welcome back. My name is John. Today, I'd like to talk about a game that lets us break those limits, that puts PhD-level physics into a 2D isometric playground, that turns us all into capitalists and scientists through the power of imagination. That game is Chris Sawyer's RollerCoaster Tycoon. First things first, today's video focuses primarily on RollerCoaster Tycoon 1 and 2. If you're looking for something on 3, I'm not really your guy. Still, stick around. The first two are great games. Anyway, we should first talk about Tycoon games. Tycoon games are a very 90s idea. They are the natural outgrowth of early simulation games like SimCity, coupled with Clinton-era economic optimism. Lately, the Tycoon genre has shifted somewhat. There are good games, like Jurassic World Evolution. There are games similar to RollerCoaster Tycoon, like Planet Coaster. And then there are the new RollerCoaster Tycoon games, which are... they're not good. They're just not good.
We have a problem.
The 90s were also a time of theme park innovation and expansion, with Paramount and Six Flags providing regional alternatives to Florida's Disney magic. RollerCoaster Tycoon, which originally shipped in 1999, is far from the first Tycoon game, but as the best-selling PC game of 1999, the same year as Half-Life and Unreal Tournament, it's probably the first one to matter. The core loop of a Tycoon game is centered around growing player empowerment. You start small, take some risks, and get some money. That money affords you bigger risks that earn more money, allowing you to expand at scale. RollerCoaster Tycoon is no exception. As you build your park, you need bigger and more complex systems to manage your cash flow. Those systems have to be managed carefully, or they can go wrong. Sometimes very wrong. The core gameplay loop in RCT is masterfully honed, but it's not exactly original. Sometimes it's not even fun, especially at the end of a scenario when you're just waiting around to win with a park on autopilot. What is original, and what no game has ever done better, is its coaster builder. A lot of people remember killing their guests with it, but it turns out its intended purpose is actually just as fun. At first, RCT's coaster builder seems rather primitive, because it is. It uses a grid-based system where each part of a coaster occupies a set number of tiles on the landscape. Turns are either 90 or 45 degrees. Inversions are of a fixed size. Hills come in 3 angles, with only 2 available on most coasters. The entire time, you are rigidly beholden to the landscape grid. Contrast this with Planet Coaster, a game released nearly 20 years after RCT. You can bank individual pieces of track to precise degrees, and resize every single one to your exact specifications. Inversions can be tilted or twisted in new ways. You can set up scenery triggers to spray water on your guests or create menacing explosions. There's also an amazing on-ride camera, something the 2D RCT games lack. And yeah, it's pretty great. With Planet Coaster, your only limit is your time and imagination. Combined with an active community and mod support, pretty much anything is possible. So, what's missing then? Well, without any of the restrictions of RollerCoaster Tycoon, Planet Coaster has a distinct lack of challenge. There's nothing for you to overcome, so it barely even feels like a game. It's easy to dismiss the grid system as a technical limitation, and to some extent it was. RCT could run on a very low-end computer, even back in 1999. It's equally confusing when you look at 1993's Coaster, a Disney game that runs on much lower-end computers and allows for more complex designs. However, Coaster is just a coaster builder, whereas RCT is a full-scale simulation game. Coaster did have a 3D on-ride camera like Planet Coaster does, but it looks like, well, this. So no, RollerCoaster Tycoon isn't 3D in the literal sense. But its coaster builder still operates in 3D space. Your rides can wind between each other, under themselves, and around your scenery. A robust underground tool lets you easily carve tunnels into the landscape. As you unlock more ride types, special tracks get more creative. Not only do you unlock half loops and inline twists, you can link them together in creative ways. What's amazing is that even as tracks grow complex, the coaster builder does not. You still have the same interface with a drop-down menu for special pieces. Except for some particularly weird coasters, the basic hills and turns take the same amount of space. And it all operates on the same square grid you first learned to build on. A similar parallel can be found in a very different game, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. In Breath of the Wild, you're given almost everything you need at the start of the game. A weapon, a shield, and basic magic. You can do almost everything in the game's sprawling world with those three tools. Other adventure games, like The Witcher 3 or Crosscode, give you a variety of complex tools, like skill trees and crafting and potions, but you can play through the entire game without using most of them. It's satisfying for players who enjoy complexity for its own sake, but for casual players it doesn't mean much. RollerCoaster Tycoon's simplicity carries over to its ride rating system, the closest thing the game has to an absolute measure of success. Every ride, coaster or otherwise, is measured across 3 metrics. The nausea rating is pretty self-explanatory: how likely riders are to get sick. Lots of high-speed spins and inversions mean more puke for you to contain, and it lowers the appeal of the ride to certain guests based on their nausea tolerance. Intensity results from general discomfort riding the ride. Sharp, unbanked curves, lots of sudden elevation changes, and high-speed inversions jolt your riders around. But the most important and dynamic rating is excitement. Excitement is a measure of raw enjoyment, of how your guests feel during the ride. Most importantly, all guests love exciting rides, even if they shy away from high-intensity or nausea ratings. This is because a ride can be exciting without being intense, such as a river rapids or a go-kart ride. So then, what makes a ride exciting? Well, the same stuff that would make a ride exciting in real life. Sharp turns, lots of inversions, high speed, cool scenery. What's beautiful about the excitement rating in RollerCoaster Tycoon is that the rules are not only simple, they're intuitive. Likely you already know them. A high excitement ride can single-handedly save your park. You are rewarded with not only more riders, but repeated riders. Your park can win awards for your coasters, which brings more visitors. They bring money you can use for new rides that require greater challenges. Speaking of those challenges, it's important to note how level design in RCT affects your coasters. While the game does have a sandbox mode, most players will choose the scenarios. Each scenario has different win conditions. You might have to hit a certain guest number, or complete unfinished coasters, or hit financial targets. Some have rides already built, and some are blank. But where you'll find the most challenge is in the landscapes. You'll build around lakes, mountains, and rivers. You'll dive into craters and weave between rock formations. Each one of those terrain types requires new strategies to hit that coveted excitement rating. The excitement rating embodies everything great about the RCT Coaster Builder, a complex and challenging goal that you can achieve with simple tools. There are infinite ways to reach that goal, and the rules for doing so make sense. Plus, because you're rewarded for building great coasters, you'll do it often, and you'll get really good at it. The sense of accomplishment when you build something crazy is the secret ingredient in RCT's addictive formula. Eventually, it no longer becomes just about winning scenarios. RCT's design encourages you to push your building skills for its own sake. As your park ages, your coasters continue to define its landscape. Good ones stay relevant for years and still rake in profits, even as new rides pop up. They become a living history of your risks and accomplishments. When you finally beat the scenario, the map is a museum of your successes.
Congratulations!
Congratulations!
Whatever you create, the beauty of RCT is that it lets you create your own goals. That you accomplish these goals with primitive tools, one significantly less powerful than modern coaster builders, is a triumph of game design. Though RCT limits your building abilities, it leverages this limit by giving you exactly enough to master its challenges. RCT is a game about the power of imagination. But most importantly, it puts that power in reach of everyone. Like going to your favorite theme park, RCT allows ordinary people to feel extraordinary. This balance of limitless possibility and accessibility is why, to date, no Tycoon game has ever been as fun as RollerCoaster Tycoon. Considering that the game is almost 20 years old and was developed by one guy, that is one hell of an achievement. You can buy RollerCoaster Tycoon on Steam and GOG. I highly recommend you play it with OpenRCT2, a free utility that you install on top of the game. It adds widescreen support, online play, and improves compatibility on modern computers. It also lets you run it on Mac and Linux, which is pretty cool. If you'd like to see more from me, feel free to subscribe to the channel, or give me a follow on Twitter at bread__circuses. You can also read my blog at weshallneverrevolt.tumblr.com. I'd also love to know what you think of RollerCoaster Tycoon down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.